Okay, I disagree with that, to be fair.
What is it that you disagree on, mate?
I disagree with that.
I don't believe that a Muslim should be Home Secretary, but I also don't believe a woman of Pakistani origin should be able to hold political office.
The people that you see holding the English flag most of the time down my neck of the woods will be the EDL, and they are white, they are male, and they're bad people, and they want to divide us.
I don't believe that we should be having foreigners holding political office or even positions in the police as well. If you want to stop the replacement, if you want to stop us being demographically replaced and you actually want to get a grip on immigration, then you need to have people, in my opinion, that are native to the country. And I say this because I believe it's important. My position, my honest position is I want to see the UK be 95% minimum white British.
So what would you do with the people who are coming here in boats?
They should be deported. You then got your foreign criminals that are currently residing in UK prisons. They should be deported. I would then like to see anybody that can't speak English deported.
How about a small baby that's born here?
Deported.
Then what are you gonna do with people like me? Serious? What the fuck? They tried to erase the signal. They pulled the plug, demonetized, censored, shadow banned. That's what they did to us. But the truth, my friend, will always find the frequency. I call this Operation Airwave Liberation because I'm not just back, I'm broadcasting from ruined. But this time, the airwaves is mine. And this time, it's uncensored. I watched them strip everything that we built. No warning, no explanation, silence, just taking everything away. 300 plus videos deleted, all gone. And if you think this is about community guidelines, you've not been paying attention. This is a war. This is a digital gulag dressed in a terms of service type of way. They want us gone because we're saying things that they don't like. Maybe we're asking questions because we're curious, they don't like the questions we're asking. Or maybe we refuse to play nice in this echo chamber that we're in. They first hit me with the algorithm, the video is not getting enough views. Then they hit me with the monetization, well, no money for you. But guess what? They forgot to hit my will. They thought that'll be enough, it's gonna cave and it's gonna run away. But guess what I did? I rebuilt, I rewired, I learned the game behind the curtains and see how they operate. I'm not just back. We're launching Operation Airwave Liberation. No filters, no masters, just signals. The signal they tried to block, but this time is very strong. The wind can't even penetrate through this. This, my friend, isn't just about me. It's about all of us. Every single voice that's been cancelled, clipped and used in the wrong way by the media. From now on moving forward, I'm not just creating content anymore. I'm sorry. I'm building a resistance on camera, off grid and above the algorithm. And if you are watching this, you are the resistance. This channel isn't just a platform. This is a broadcast tower for the truth. I'm glad I'm back. Ladies and gentlemen, patriot, truth seekers, digital warriors, welcome back to the show. And today I'm not here by myself. I got a guest with me. And my guest is not a guy who walks on eggshells, who's stepping on toes, tiptoeing his way through it. He's been out there making noise. Making so much noise that some people on the right will be like, hey, this is the guy who's standing up for me. And some people on the right also are saying, hey, this is the guy who's making so much noise, is sabotaging the movement. Yeah. And of course, he's been a threat to the institution, to the elites, to the point where he doesn't even live in the UK. Yes, that's where we are today. Now, political activists have to run away to feel safe. Or if they stay in the country, they lose one of their kids. I mean, Brace yourself for an impact in today's video. It's going to be one of the one of the controversial, one of the maybe debates. Yeah, there's a lot of things I want to talk about in this video, and there's no other person who's more qualified to talk about this than this person, because he's gone through it and he's felt the pain. He's lost a child. Now he doesn't live in the country that he was born in, and he's seen his country just being torn apart. You know, being captured by whoever wants to come in. So brace yourself for an impact. And my guest is the one and only James Goddard. Thank you so much, James, for coming on the show. How are you doing, sir?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you for having me on. I've been looking forward to this. I've seen some of the street interviews that you've done as well, and I've been following your X account for a while. So yeah, I'm looking forward to having a chat with you about all of the problems that Britain's currently facing.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that as well. I don't know where to start this. I would like to start this by trying to get to know you more. I mean, who are you and why are you not in the UK? We could be sitting together right now.
Okay, so obviously my name's James Goddard. I've been a political activist since the start of 2017. I was out protesting every day from 2018 right up until the end of 2019. I've had a couple of high-profile court cases with Anna Soubry, MP, a journalist from The Independent, who I'm not allowed to name due to the lifetime restraining order. Hope Not Hate cameraman. It's been a very interesting few years. But I started my activism, being a face-out activist, after the Brexit vote, when we'd got MPs like Soubry and others that were calling for a second referendum. I felt that was an infringement on democracy, and that they weren't going to deliver the Brexit that we wanted, and that's what happened anyway. So I started posting videos mainly to Facebook, and then I met a lady called Tracy Blackwell, whose son and two friends had been murdered, and it had been covered up by the Metropolitan Police. So the driver should have been done for 3 murders and 2 attempted murders, but he was only convicted of death by dangerous driving. The family have got all the evidence to prove that it's a cover-up, and that there should have been harsher charges. But like I said, due to the CPS, people like Boris Johnson, Sadiq Khan, and the Metropolitan Police, the families haven't been able to get justice. So yeah, I was also instrumental. I was one of the original 34 people that started the UK Yellow Vest movement as well, at the end of 2018, going into 2019. And that was quite successful. It was that successful. It got me a 5-year ban from the Parliament area, and a court case as well, because we made at that time, obviously politics was very polarizing. It's still polarizing now, but there was a big media presence down at Parliament. So we used to go down to Parliament and interrupt the live broadcasts with signs and with songs, and it was working because more people were starting to take to the streets to protest. So yeah, I did activism, like I said, every day until the ban from Parliament, which obviously affected things because I couldn't protest at Parliament anymore. So I started to protest in different parts of the country. But it was quite difficult because, due to me being arrested for calling Anna Soubry a Nazi and singing a song, I was also, at that time, I was banned from London, Manchester, Nottingham, Leicester. I was forced to move. Yeah, I was forced to move out of my mum. No, I couldn't live. I'd gone back to my mum's property in Leicester to stay there. The police came round, confiscated my stepdad's firearms because they said I posed a threat, and then made me move property as well. So I had to go and live with a Christian family in Manchester. So yeah, it was a fun time, but it was a very difficult time as well, because ultimately it led to things that got completely out of my control. Like I had, as I said to you before the show, I had at the time of my activism, I was going through a custody battle to gain custody of my daughter. So whilst the Anna Soubry thing was playing out, I'd got that playing out as well. So which was difficult as well because because the courts as well. Anybody that's pretty much got right wing views, they look down on them. And I remember it as clear as day. I was on it was a stream actually because when I'd lost my daughter, 'cause it was the start of the COVID lockdown on the final case, and I remember I'm sitting there on a stream having to put my case forward to people that have never met my child and that have never met me, but are going on presumptions and assumptions that are in the mainstream media. But also as well, I had, there was a group, I'd call them Zionist extremists, but they made it their mission to sabotage that case. So they would ring the police and counter-terrorism, making up nefarious reports of anti-Semitism and all this hatred. And ultimately that was used against me in the court case, saying, well, you're being investigated for anti-Semitism as well. It's not just this, it's not just that. I was never arrested for anything, any anti-Semitism charges, nothing ever come from it. But it was the fact that people were willing to try and sabotage the relationship between a father and his daughter. That's something that stuck with me for a while. No, they weren't friends. They were people that are still involved in the movement today. They sit in the Tommy Robinson camp, although they're not properly a part of his team. Because I need to make that distinction as well, because they're not properly a part of his team. But they try and act like the moral arbiters of the movement. And anybody that's critical of Israel or Zionism in general, it's their job to ostracize them from the movement. We had a big problem in our Yellow Vest movement where these two people in particular would come to the protest, and then it'd be like, oh, that guy's in the National Front, all of these lot are Nazis. And it was very frustrating to have people. I mean, I'd class them in the Civ Nat camp, but they made it their mission to try and destroy what we were trying to build. And that's something that I've always found to be really frustrating on the right in particular. And it's one of the biggest problems that we've got, because the left don't sit there, center left, far left, whatever it is. They don't sit there and go, oh, that guy's a communist, we can't stand with him, we need to try and destroy his life. Yeah, they come together. Whereas on the right, it's, your civic nationalist, oh, you can't stand with him, he criticized Israel, he's a Nazi. So we create our own problems ourselves. Which is extremely frustrating as well, because like I said, I've been doing this for 8 years now, and it just seems like we're going round in circles, although the Overton window has shifted a lot now. And when I first started, the idea of mass deportations and remigration was something that was considered extreme, and you were a bad person if you want that. But obviously it's now the #1 topic in the UK, and everybody is calling for mass deportations and remigration. But I think there's probably there's different people have a different idea of what remigration is and what mass deportations would entail, I suppose. So my solution that I've promoted for a long time would be to get all of the figureheads, all of the leaders of these of these organizations, get everybody to sit down around a table and come up with a list of demands that we could then push forward as a united movement. But unfortunately, you're never going to get that, because there's a lot of these, I'm not going to start slagging people off, but a lot of these groups and individuals are happy to be in an echo chamber. And I call it controlled opposition, because you're being paid to keep the talking points relevant, but not to actually offer any solutions for it.
Yeah, I've noticed that there's a lot of people who say this stuff, and when it comes to the doing, they happen to not be there to the doing. And so there's a lot of things to unpack there. So you've been doing this since 2013. I mean, that's
17, mate.
17. Oh, sorry, 17. Well, that's a long time still. And to the point where now, just over 10 years, just under 10 years, you have to live the way you are living today. Obviously, I'm not saying you're living in a bad situation, but you're not in the country. And that's because what you've faced, and you probably know what you're going to face as soon as you're back. I'm sure you know the moment you arrive at Heathrow Airport, I'm sure they're going to put you in cuffs. But
yeah, that's a guarantee.
But you spoke a lot about the individuals who are in the countries sabotaging the movement. Let me say, these individuals try to. I've seen those guys replying to your tweets, and they try to, like, I don't know who you're talking to in particular, but I've seen people like comment on your tweets and try to, like, separate you from what they're doing. Even though they're willingly looking forward for what you're preaching, but they always want to, like, put you out the box, like, hey, we good idea, James, but not you for us type. Do you think it's because of the way you come across, and they feel like you might not attract the masses?
No, I'd say that it depends really from what aspect you're looking at it. I only really seem to get issues from people that identify as civic nationalists. As I said, I was a part of the street movement for years. I went out and did my own activism as well, led my own protests. But the stuff that you see online is like, it's character assassination, because the politics that I actually put forward, people don't usually disagree with it. They then try to attack me. Oh, well, your daughter's only 3/4 English, so what, are you going to deport your own daughter? And it's like, it's such a moronic take to make. And this is why I've been looking forward to coming on here, to be able to explain, like, because we hear talk of remigration all the time, right? And I'm of my honest position is, I want to see the UK be 95% minimum white British. I don't think that's extreme for wanting a country where the majority of people in the country look like you. You know, we only have to look at places like Leicester, Birmingham, Manchester, London, Bradford, and we can see that mass migration has absolutely decimated these cities. They can no longer be considered as British cities, in my opinion. So I'm of the position that, as uncomfortable as it might be, we do need to have a conversation about who's being deported, and what people actually want. Because, you know, if we take current immigration, like, if you look at the amount of people that have come into the country over the past 5 years, millions and millions of people have come into the country. There's not been any upgrade on public services. There's not been any upgrades to the NHS. In fact, immigration, it makes it so that it's hard to get a doctor's appointment. It pushes the rent prices high. You know, when you're importing low-skilled migrants at the bottom end of the labour market, it's driving the wages down as well. So that, for me, there are so many problems with immigration. It does need tackling, but in regards to remigration, I would personally start with all of the asylum seekers. So there's currently 111,000 asylum seekers, I believe, that have got claims with the British government at the minute.
Right.
Yeah, we've got 111,000 asylum claims that need cancelling straight away. We've got the abuse of the student visa system, whereby people come in on the student visas, they let that expire, and then they overstay their visa, and then they're not deported, which is something that needs to be addressed as well. So, yeah, like I said, I'd start with the 111,000 asylum claims. Then you'd want to clear out all of the hotels, not put them into houses of multiple occupancy or shift them to other parts of the country. They should be deported. You then got your foreign criminals that are currently residing in UK prisons. I would then like to see anybody that can't speak English deported, anybody that's in receipt of state benefits, and also anybody that damages or is a problem for the social cohesion of the United Kingdom. So we hear all this, we hear a lot in the UK about integration and assimilation and you know, how it's going to save Britain. And it's anything but that. You know, if you look at your different areas across the country, we've basically created foreign ghettos all over the country. I'm from Leicester, like my hometown. So you've got the Golden Mile on one side in the east of the city, which is predominantly Indian, and then you go around to St Matthews, your Somalians, Evington, your Pakistani community, along with Highfields. And then to the west, you've got like your Eastern Europeans, where you'll have your Polish, your Lithuanians, Czechs, and blah, blah, blah. So they are all grouping together. And for me, I just don't believe that with the amount of people that we've imported into the country, that you could have integration anyway. And what is, for me, what is integration? Is it Shabana Mahmood being able to become Home Secretary? Is it David Lammy being able to become the Deputy Prime Minister? For me, these are problems that the UK faces. Like, as I said, I'm in Thailand. I'm not allowed to get involved in Thai politics, and rightfully so. I wouldn't be able to run to be an MP in Thailand or hold government office. But yet in the UK, we allow people like Shabana Mahmood, Sadiq Khan, Dawn Butler. We allow them to, even Suella Braverman, we allow them to hold high political office. And then we wonder why the country is in the mess that it's in. Like, for me, go on.
But most of these guys were born here. Does that not matter as well? So how many generations do you have to participate in politics, or is it just being white?
No, it's not just being white. For me, I'd say, and this is where I probably differ with other nationalists or other people, but for me, I think if you want to be a politician in the United Kingdom, then you have to have a minimum of 50% British ancestry. And some people might think that's an extreme policy, but if you look at countries, as I said, like Thailand, Qatar, India, China, all of these countries hold those policies. You wouldn't see a white British man holding political office in India, China, Thailand. It wouldn't happen in Nigeria either.
Yeah, obviously, so but when you say it like that, like, you wouldn't see a British man holding a political chair in India. That just backfires, because obviously Britain ruled India for years. So, but you know, when you say 50% ancestry, how does that look like?
So you'd have one parent that's British for you to be able to qualify to hold political office.
So just mixed race babies then?
Pardon?
Would that be just mixed race babies?
Well, yeah, as long as one parent was born in the UK and that was of British ancestry, then you should be you would be able to hold political office. My friend John Lawrence, leader of the National Housing Party UK, his dad was Jamaican, his mum was English. He can track his ancestry back 22 generations. That's what I believe. I'm not saying that everybody believes that, because there's other people that would only want white British people to hold political office. But I don't believe that alienating mixed race people is going to do us any favors in the long haul if we're trying to win the hearts and minds of people to ensure that what we're saying, what we're preaching, becomes mainstream.
Yeah, I totally agree with the sensible take as well, to try and make it mainstream. You gotta win the popular vote. You can't just have a little bit of 50,000 people just echoing the same thing. You have to have millions. But I have a problem with a 50% ancestral. I mean, of course, a lot, not a huge problem as it is. Britain, it's not mine to take. Of course, I can have a little opinion because I live here, I contribute here as well. I can have a little bit opinion on how the police govern. I can have a little bit opinion of how my MP never replies to the messages. I can have a little bit opinion of that. I think that is my jurisdiction for me to govern and rule and have an opinion and debate around. But understand your take on who can run the country, like becoming home office. I mean, that's a big job. A lot of people are reacting to it. I don't know, maybe it's because she's Muslim, or maybe, I don't know, because her ancestral roots is not from here. Like, why do you think a lot of people are reacting the way they're reacting to the way Shamama Mahmood, if I'm saying that name right, became home.
It depends which side you look at it, because this is where it trips the civic nationalist ideology up. Like, Civ-Nats will tell you that Pakistani people born in Britain are British, but yet when it comes to Muslims holding political office, they'll have a problem with it, and rightfully so. I don't believe that we class Britain as a Christian country, and it has been a Christian country for hundreds and hundreds of years. But it's only recently, we're told, oh no, well actually you're a secular country, and you've always had all these immigrants, and that's completely untrue. I think the main issue with Shabana Mahmood, as well as her being a follower of Islam, it's also her far left politics as well. And I know she's basically, when she was the Justice Secretary, she's basically legalized two-tier policing and two-tier bail conditions, and asking for judges to look at historical events in the past as that having an impact on a person of color committing a crime, which is completely ludicrous. We shouldn't be if somebody's committed a crime, no matter if they're black, white, brown, whatever it is, if they've committed a crime, you can't make excuses for them. They've committed the crime, they do the time. The problem, as I said, with having people like Shabana Mahmood as Home Secretary is she's going to want to put her people first. And it doesn't matter what lies they tell you on the TV. If you take a look at the Home Office, for instance, you've got the Islamic network that operates within the Home Office as well, which is also very troubling, because these people are having a massive role in shaping policy. And obviously they're under Matthew Rycroft, the permanent undersecretary, should I say. And we look at how the Home Office, that they've basically turned Britain, and this obviously happened before Labour, but they've turned Britain into an open borders country where anybody can come into the country. They can commit whatever crime they want, and they rarely get deported. So for me, my biggest issue with Shabana, well, two issues really. I don't believe that a Muslim should be Home Secretary, but I also don't believe a woman of Pakistani origin should be able to hold political office. And as I said, I'll go back to the points of, you don't see it happening in countries like Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Thailand, India as well. I know India was a part of the British Empire for hundreds of years, and obviously we gave them independence. But like I said, you wouldn't have a white British man holding political office in India. So I think that needs to be the same in the UK, and I think it needs to be normalized as well, because people, the moment that you say it, it's the reaction that you get off people. They think you're coming at it from a place of hatred, but you're not. You're just saying how it should be. This is how our country's been. It's only since after World War II, when Queen Elizabeth II, signed all those orders inviting former, subjects of the empire to live in Britain, that we saw the waves of immigration that we have, and that has been extremely detrimental to the native British population.
So you think the problem started back then?
Well, if you look after World War II, obviously the Queen at the time, she invited over Pakistani, Indian, Bangladesh, well, East Pakistan at the time, but since turned into Bangladesh, she invited these people over to, work in the mills and do the jobs that people were crying out for, that people needed filling. But at the same time, you can't say that just because the Queen started inviting people over in the 50s that migrants built Britain, because they didn't. The country has been a fully functioning country for hundreds of years, and it was built hundreds of years ago. Yeah, it was decimated during World War I and World War II. But I just think it's a lie to say that the UK was built by immigrants and that we're a nation of immigrants, when we never have been a nation of immigrants throughout history. So it's always interesting to see that one put out.
Yeah, you just made a statement saying Muslims should not be Home Secretary. Is that because of the faith, or is it because of the origin?
Well, it's both really. Britain's a Christian country, and it's also, it is a white majority country for the time being. So for me, the top jobs in government and even in policing as well, and other roles, should be filled by white British people. I don't believe that we should be having foreigners holding political office or even positions in the police as well. So it poses a national security risk.
So wait. So if a black man pulls up as a police guy, that's national security risk for you?
No, I've not said a black man as a police officer. I'm talking about I'm talking about foreigners in high profile political jobs. I believe that that's a national security risk, especially in regards to the fact that you wouldn't want a dual citizen in a position of political power, and that's exactly what you've got with David Lammy. He was the Foreign Secretary, but he's currently a citizen of the UK and he's a citizen of Guyana as well. So how is it that we've got people in political positions that are citizens of other countries? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Okay. I disagree with that, to be fair.
Well, what is it that you disagree on, mate?
The fact that you're saying that foreigners should not participate in, of course, obviously, when you're talking foreigners, you're talking about people like who have basically seen no other country apart this country, who their parents came here, worked hard, gave birth to them, and they, assimilated, worked hard, and got themselves to the position where they are. I think it's unfair for you to say, hey, you should not, your national security risk for you to try and work in the government. I disagree with that. Of course, we can disagree with the way they go around it. Like, hey, putting their tribe first. Yeah, I disagree with that. But I don't disagree with somebody like, for instance, David Lammy becoming I believe now, what was the reshuffle for him?
David Lammy is now the Deputy Prime
Deputy
Minister,
Prime
the
Minister,
Lord
yes.
Chancellor, and the Justice Secretary.
Yeah. He worked hard for it, and he got it. And some arguments might be like, yeah, favored him, this and that, and, the sectarian politics, whatever, I'll label it. But he got himself there. And there's a lot of bricks in the... Go on.
I was saying he's also a rancid anti-white man. He's atrocious. And I don't, like I said, I don't personally believe that. Like I said, some people agree with this and some people don't. But if you want to stop the replacement, if you want to stop us being demographically replaced and you actually want to get a grip on immigration, then you need to have people, in my opinion, that are native to the country. And I say this because I believe it's important. I look at the politics of David Lammy, and he's done nothing for years but play the racism card and call for reparations. Oh, we were enslaved hundreds of years ago. It's your fault, and you've got to give us reparations. He said that on numerous platforms. So for me, he definitely shouldn't be allowed a role in British politics because he's anti-British, he's anti-white, and the politics that he's put forward for the best part of his political career have been detrimental to the native population, in my opinion. Like, I'm unapologetically total. I want to see millions of people deported because I want to see the UK flourish. If millions of people aren't deported from Britain, we're just going to keep going round and round in circles. And that's why, in hard times, there has to be hard measures. And, like I said, some people might not like what I'm saying, but if you actually think about it, who would you rather have in power? Would you rather have somebody that has for years called for reparations, so he wants the British taxpayer to pay billions of pounds in reparations to slaves and the former colonies, or would you want somebody that is going to put the interests of the native British population first? For me, I'd want somebody that would want to put the interests of our people before the interests of former colonies. But again, that's just me, and obviously we don't have to agree on everything.
But you can.
But I think it is important people hear these opinions.
But I believe the country can set the measures of the hard lines where it's like Britain first, and whoever is is there like a little manual where it's like, hey, you can do whatever you want, you can preach whatever you want, but this is the line you cannot cross. I think maybe we should have that because when you say, having a person who's not white or having a person who's not 50% ancestral from the country, it's a national security. I mean, the country is here today is because of the white full ancestral root from here ruling this country. I mean, when you look at the Tony Blair time, I don't think Tony Blair is a foreigner. He goes here. When you go back to the, Labour and then Conservative and now Labour again, all these guys were full on. Or maybe you might say, yeah, Rishi Sunak a little bit. But then most people in parliaments are full on white native Brits. And we are here today.
Yeah, there has to be accountability. There has to be, and this is the problem. People don't call out white people enough and you've just hit the nail on the head. Boris Johnson imported between 1.1 to 1.2 million in the Boris wave, costing us billions. Patriot, apparently, white British patriot, right? Tony Blair opened the floodgates in 1997, although to his defense, I'm not defending him, this is what he said in an interview, my immigration was white European and it was only single people. So he's trying to justify it. But no, you're exactly right in what you said. There are a lot of white people in political positions that have sold out other white people. They're the ones that are that are drafting legislation that makes it harder for people like us to speak out. So yeah, there has to be accountability on the British born, British politicians that have inflicted this mess as well. All I'm giving you here, it's not any political party stance or anything. You're literally just getting my opinions.
Yeah, and I appreciate
they
that.
They are open to debate.
Yeah.
Attention, attention, attention. This is not just a normal t-shirt. This is your battle armor in this war against lies and manipulation and deception. And when you wear this t-shirt, you are not just making a statement. You are drawing a line in the sand. And you're saying, I will not be silenced, I will not be bought, and I will not be steered. Every thread in this t-shirt screams defiance. Every letter of I found the truth, not propaganda. Or maybe every letter of the nation needs to know is a rally cry out for independent thinkers, disruptors, the people who refuse to bend to the mainstream media narrative. We need your fund, and this is your chance to stand up, to speak out and fund the fight for the truth. Don't just wear it like a regular t-shirt. You have to live it. The nation needs to know you're gonna live it. Yes, please. I need you to fuel the resistance. Be the reason why the truth survives in this country. Please get yours at thebarakashow.com, and thank you so much for keeping us on air. Thank you.
In the shadow of the digital gulag, we fire up the truth cannon and blast through the lies.
And the show host, Baraka Amuri.
What I will say is there is a massive difference between, and again, this is where some people only go on all of my what I would post on X, but I don't have a problem as such with immigration as long as the overall majority is high. I don't have a problem with people coming in that are of benefit to the country. So they contribute to the economy. They're not taking things out, and they're also not trying to change the country to suit their agenda. Like the way I am here in Thailand, I'm learning the language. My son's at school, so I pay into the system. And I'm not trying to force Christianity onto everyone, and I'm not trying to force my political beliefs onto people either. Because the way that I look at it is, I'm a guest in this kingdom.
Right.
I've been given the opportunity of a lifetime. Most people have, chop people's hands off for this. I get to live in paradise every day with my son, but I know that it's not forever, and I know that if I was to say anything that was negative about Thailand, or if I was to criticize their government or their royal family, or if I was to go out in the street and have a fight, I know for a fact that my visa would be cancelled.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So, and
they'll
that's
send you
the
back.
thing. There has to be a deterrent in the UK. There's no real deterrent for, I'll give you an example. These illegals that come over, they commit sexual crimes against children, and then they're just allowed to go, oh no, we're not going to send you to jail, we're just going to release you back into the general public. Like, that wouldn't happen here in Thailand. And again, it's the question of, have British people become too tolerant? Are people too wrapped up in their own materialistic little world where they're of the attitude, oh, if it doesn't directly affect me, I'm not going to get involved. And I believe that's completely different in Thailand. Like, I'll give you another example as well. If there was a fight in the street between a Thai person and a foreigner, I guarantee about 10 or 20 Thais would run out from no matter where they are, and they would help the Thai person because they've got that culture of, sticking together and looking out for their own people. And that's something that's been got at in the United Kingdom. You see all of these different ethnic groups and political persuasions.
I understand what you're saying. I think maybe that's why a lot of people see when you see the well, I'm not gonna do all religion stuff here, but when you see the I'm just gonna say Muslims, because the Muslims from Sudan, the Muslims from Pakistan, they usually just defend each other, so let's just say Muslims. They have that thing within each other as well. They always look out for each other. If you say one thing about one Muslim, you see hundreds of people turning up to your house ready to take you down. They have that little thing that they do look out for each other. Same with, I would say, with blacks as well. They have that thing where you fight somehow. Let's say something happens, video circulate online, you're gonna see hundreds of black people protesting, turning up to the street, and maybe even turning up to your house. You get Darren with a knife ready to go. I mean, of course, I'm not endorsing that. That's crazy behavior. We're gonna get into that real quick soon. But also with whites, there's a little bit with whites, but it's not as much, because it is more in in the street sense. Of course, we see a little bit of tribal type of mentality going on, which is great in the white community, but that happens to be in the poorest side of or maybe maybe the poorest look out for each other. But when you go to the very top, the people who are doing well, they are just doing well for themselves. They don't do that kind of sort of stuff where they look out for each other and stuff. And maybe that's why you see all these politicians who get themselves to the high places. They're just like, yeah, forget those guys, we at the top now. It's more of like they join a new group where it's like, I'm not like them anymore, so let me just do what I want to do. And I think that's where we are here today, where we are discussing this sort of problem, because that tribal mentality. I mean, a lot of people bash it, a lot of people call it out. It's like, oh, this is background, this is not today's time. But hey, it will never fold. That time will always be here, because that's what we do. We always look out for each other. You can't call it out because you want to join the globalist, where you want to put in every single person or your kind in slavery. I mean, yeah. So that's why the Thailand, they still have that little tribal mentality where they defend each other and defend their land. And maybe that's why you're probably calling it in the UK, and obviously if you do, you're probably going to be branded as racist. But I want to go back to your tweets, because when you make those tweets, they come out very racially aggravated. You're pushing something like you're calling for deporting all blacks and all these sort of thing. Do you want to unpack that? Because of course, I get it. Sometimes tweets is just tweets. You just make the tweet and you get engagement, and then it becomes a normal style, and then it attracts the people, and you want to keep the people, and you just keep posting that. So do you want to tell me more about the style of your tweets, and do you actually mean it when you say oh, these Indians, they should all go? And it's yeah, I want to know more about that. Tell me more about your tweets, your way of thinking when you do it.
Okay, so to grab somebody's attention straight away, how do you grab someone's attention? Punch them on the end of the nose, don't you? It's got the attention straight away. So if you usually start with a strap sign, of something that's inflammatory or something that will get people talking, it's genuinely going to boost the post so more people will see it. The way I do social media is I put the posts out in a way that I believe is unique to me, because I'm not like you do get a lot of people that post, but then they're unable to back up what they say in a conversation. They can only just post on X. Whereas I like to believe I can articulate what I say as well. So the way I look at it is I look at the way groups. I don't look at it on an individual basis, because if you started to look at it on an individual basis, that's when you'll draw emotion, you'll become emotive to it. So I just try and look at it as the overall group behavior. So in regards to Indians, I don't personally believe that the UK should be playing home to 1.7 million Indians. One of the main reasons for this as well is, if you look, right, I'm not saying that every single Indian hates Britain, because I imagine there are some Indians that love living in the UK and they love Britain and they're proud to call themselves British. But at the same time, there is a massive problem where, and I see this a lot due to what I post, where Indians are gloating about the replacement. So you'll have them, first of all, you'll have them mocking the industrial rape of white British girls at the hands of predominantly Pakistani Muslim men. And then you'll also have them discuss the British Empire, because the Indians hate the British Empire with an absolute passion. And they say to me, this is karma. This is karma for British soldiers coming over to India, conquering it. Although the comparison between Britain and India is, we only sent thousands of people over and we exploited their own caste system. Like they were the ones that had the caste system where the lighter skinned people were at the top.
That's right.
But ultimately, yeah. So and believe it or not, the Muslims at the Mughal, I think it's Mughal Empire,
Yeah,
they'd
the
actually
Mughal
got rid of
Empire,
that
yeah.
before.
That was
They'd got rid of it before, and then we came over, realized what this system was, and exploited it. But I think a lot of the problems as well is, it's like we're, especially from Indians, is, oh, you're the benefiters of the British Empire. Do people not realize the living conditions that ordinary Brits had during the days of the British Empire? That wealth wasn't distributed evenly across every single British man, woman, and child. It was hoarded by the elites.
Yeah,
it was hoarded by the elites.
I
So
mean, some of the British people didn't even know what was going on.
yeah, and this is the thing. I don't like I said, I don't hate somebody because of the color of their skin. Like that's moronic. That really is stupid. But what I don't like is, I don't like the fact that we're just supposed to roll over and accept uncontrolled mass migration as a consequence of what the British Empire did. And if you look at the Labour politicians, in particular the Tories as well, are the same. I remember I spoke to Andy Burnham once, and I asked him to define what a British person was, and he couldn't tell me, because he said that we're drawn from people all over the world. And for me, if you've got politicians that are denying the existence of the British people, then, you know, that's a major problem. But just going back to my tweets, I do it in a way, so like I said, I like to get the conversation pumping. I like people to become emotive from what I say as well, because I think it's very funny that people can react with such anger and such upset over words on a screen. Like, I take tremendous amounts of abuse on a daily basis about my daughter, about myself, and I'm able to just overcome it, because it doesn't matter. The pain of losing your child is absolutely, like, mean words on the internet are absolutely nothing compared with the pain of having a daughter and then not being able to see her, and then have people use that against you in every post. So I treat people online usually how they treat me. But yeah, like I said, I like to put posts out there that get people talking, and I want the post to stay in people's memories, where they'll be like, oh, do you know what? He might be a bit, what he's saying here, it might be a bit to the bone, but he's actually got a point in what he's saying. I probably could tone it down a bit.
But you understand. Go on.
No, sorry, mate. Carry on.
But you understand how it takes people, right? Where you make a post. Let's see if I can find the post. If it's not too long. When you make a post fully just attacking full on Indians, like this one where it was, I think it was a video of Indians traveling to. I think they was in a boat with other people, and they were asked, "Where are you from?" And they responded saying, the guy made a video saying, "Hey, I'm with my guys, all this, and I'm with Indians over here." And those guys responded saying, "Hey, we're not Indians, we're Swiss." And you made that post, and you came across like, boom. And I understand why it gets views, because obviously everybody's engaged into it. Like, wow, why would you say that? They've been in a country, they were born there, this and that. They carry their passport. And you see, and obviously when individuals who want to protect themselves in terms of like for their political career, or want to protect themselves in terms of like their friendship, you understand why they will cast you out and be like, hey, no, leave. They agree with you, but they're like, no, leave that guy out because he sabotaged my relationship with this guy and this guy and this guy. And if somebody was to catch me walking with him, it might be trouble for me. Do you understand that, right?
Yeah, but I'm not here to make friends with people. I'm here to put forward what I believe is best for Britain. For me, the way I see it is, if people have an issue with standing or sitting with me publicly, then it's probably best we don't communicate. You do make a good point, because there's actually quite a few people, and I'm not going to name them because I don't want to be a prick, but they send me DMs on X like, oh, I really agree with everything you say, but I can't have anything to do with you publicly because I'm campaigning in a multicultural area. And it's like, I don't know. I just think it's a bit pathetic because, like, yeah, the way that it is, for me, it's just words on the screen. It's social media, right? But at the end of the day, I have got a serious message. And that serious message is that I don't want the British people to become a despised minority in our own homeland, because we haven't got anywhere else to go. I don't want to be living in Asia, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. If it was up to me, I'd be back in the UK now, and I'd be outside of Parliament and Downing Street, or I'd be exposing things. But unfortunately, in times like this, I have to put my ego to one side and realise that I've got a 4-year-old son. I'm his primary carer, and he's my responsibility. So as much as I want to come back and cause drama and go and protest at all of these houses of politicians and get involved with it, ultimately I can't, because I've got a 4-year-old boy that relies on me, and I'm not willing to endanger his future, and I'm not willing to risk any more upheaval for him by coming back to the UK. I've had a couple of people offered me thousands of pounds to come back to the UK and get involved again with politics, because they want to see what happens when I land at the airport. And the James Goddard of 2018, 2019 would have been like, yeah, book me the flight. But the bigger picture is it's not about me. For me now, it's about being a father, and I speak out as much as I can online. But it's also about the message as well, because I think that this is the problem. We focus too much on individuals as opposed to the core message. And the problem that we have in the UK is we're running out of time. We've got no political representation. The borders are wide open, and Labour are planning more and more, trying to introduce more and more legislation that erodes our freedoms and liberties. So the primary focus has to be on ousting the Labour government and getting somebody in that's going to be better. Now, I'm not saying that Reform are going to do everything they say, because I personally don't believe they won't. But Reform need to be used as the stepping stone to destroy the two-party system of the Conservatives and Labour, because both those two thrive off each other, and they have done for over 100 years. Labour screw the country up, Conservatives come in. We just go round and round in a circle, and there's no change. And it's like, yeah, I want to see change. I don't want to spend all of my spare time.
But according to popular people like Alex Phillip from Talk TV, I think Talk, she shares the same belief as myself. She thinks that Elon Musk joining in, pushing Advanced UK, and all the people pushing Advanced UK will split and make Reform basically not go anywhere. And then you will get, because then that means we'll have the Conservative fighting, Reform UK fighting, Advance UK fighting. Then we'll have UKIP, they are fighting as well. They try and fight. We have Remigration Party. We have Britain First Party. And it goes on. Then we have these small. And all of them are trying to win somebody. Of course, we can say Reform UK is coming up right now. But if Elon Musk push Advance UK to the point where he competes and split the votes that were going to vote for Reform, that means, and most of the people who were going to vote for who were going to vote for reform were coming from the Conservative. So that means Conservative loses because their people went to Reform. Then that means Reform had to split because those people had to go to Advance UK. But on the left, Labour still has its people. No matter how mad they are with them, they're gonna keep voting Labour. And then, and next minute, you know, Labour just remains in power. I mean, what do you think about that? What's your take of Advance UK joining in, and what's your take with Elon Musk and Reform UK and stuff? So what do you think? I would like to know what you think.
I agree with the point that you've made about the promotion of Advance. It will ultimately lead to the vote being split 100%. Categorically, that's exactly what's going to happen. I don't believe now's the time for more political parties. But you're 100% right. Elon Musk interfering and pushing Advance, like you said, the left stick together. I mean, it'll be interesting to see the development with Corbyn and Sultana's Your Party or whatever it's called, along with the Greens as well. But I don't think, I personally don't think Advance are going to do anything. I know they're approaching 30,000 members, but I don't think they're going to appeal to, let's say, I like using the word ordinary Brits, but people that aren't politically engaged. Whereas Farage, you know, like I said, Nigel Farage isn't perfect from, you know, and I don't 100% trust him because of the comments that he's made about Islam as well. But Farage is now a household name that's going to resonate with the voter. I think you've hit the nail on the head. I think what's going to happen, I don't think you're going to get this massive reform landslide. I think obviously we've got 3.5 years now before the next election, if it's called in 2029. I think it will lead to a hung parliament, and then you're going to end up with a coalition of perhaps Labour, Your Party, and the Greens in power, because they'll do anything they can to keep reform out. But I understand people's concerns about not being able to vote for, you know, some people say, oh, I can't vote for reform. Like, they're not my cup of tea ideologically, but they're a stepping stone. And without reform, we're not going to get the changes that we need. It's going to be a stepping stone. Nobody thought that we'd be able to grab mass deportations and remigration and put that at the forefront of the conversation. And yet that's been allowed to happen. So for me, as unpopular as this may be for some people, I don't really think Advance UK are going to do anything other than split the vote. I think what will be interesting to see is where Rupert Lowe goes. Now, obviously, Rupert has the support of the entire right, in my opinion. I believe the far right, centre right, normal right wingers, everyone would be behind Rupert Lowe. But I'm just concerned that the Kemi Badenoch is approaching 1 year in charge of the Tories, so I believe that they'll be able to trigger a leadership contest. I wouldn't be surprised if you ended up seeing Rupert Lowe leading the Tories with Jenrick as his number two, and then that completely shafting Reform and Advance. Like, there's a couple of ways it could go. It'll either, depending on, I guess, what happens in regards to the migrant hotels and the invasion, a Rupert Lowe-led Tory party, I think, would sweep aside all of them, because it, you know, whether people like it or not, the Tories are the most successful election-winning machine in political history. I hate them for what they've done to Britain: lockdowns, vaccines, mass migration. They've absolutely destroyed it. But if you were able to create a right-wing momentum into the Tories, like similar to what Corbyn did, you'd see massive changes. But again, you know, is the Tory brand votable anymore? I don't think it is. There's been too many betrayals. You know, for 14 years, they consistently promised to reduce net migration, and each year it got worse. And then again, this is the problem that we've got. The 2019 election, Farage stood aside and told everybody to vote for the Tories because they were going to implement Brexit. That was Farage's election to win, and he walked away. And look what we got. And now we've got people like Nadine Dorries, or whatever her name is, coming out and saying we need a Boris Johnson, Nigel Farage alliance to destroy Labour. And it's like, Boris Johnson imported millions of people into the country. He locked the country down. He forced the poisonous vaccine onto people. Like, I don't understand how people. It really does. It really does shock me. But yeah, I just see it being the advanced reform thing. I just see it being a vote splitter, and ultimately, that's not what we need. Because, you know, like I said, reform. They've got councillors elected up and down the country. They're in control of a couple of councils. I don't have a good feeling about advance, but I don't believe parties like UKIP or Britain First can be taken seriously either, because for me they're just micro parties they're just micro parties that pretty much seem like vanity projects, in my opinion.
But people
believe,
but people still go and vote for these guys.
Would they still vote?
Yeah, people still go and vote for those guys, like Britain First and UKIP, and people still go and try vote for those guys. Do you think that's a distraction from the main cause, where they, you know, because that vote could possibly go somewhere where it's useful?
Yeah,
or do you think it's useful being in the UKIP and you know, Britain First or Remigration, all these sort of little parties that come up?
Well, I look at UKIP and Britain First more as street movements as opposed to political parties. Yeah, I know they are registered as political parties, but they're mainly street movements that do play an important role. I mean, you know, I'm not overly keen on Nick Tanconi, but, you know, since he took over UKIP, he's kind of like, they were like into irrelevance. So he's done a good job on making their name relevant again. But I still think in the bigger picture, if somebody's asked to choose, like, you know, somebody that's not politically engaged, are you going to go with reform, or are you going to go for UKIP or advance? You're going to go for the person that you know the most, aren't you?
That's right.
I'd suggest so. Like, if you've given a choice between Farage and Nick Tanconi, people are going to go with Farage because he's the one that's got the political experience, but he's also a household name as well. I'm not saying, you know, that's correct, because I don't trust Farage. I'm just going on how I'd gauge the British public would react. But also as well, Farage is very weak on Islam. So that's another point of contention with reform. But as I said, I think reform have got to be used as a stepping stone so that we're able to keep dragging the message further.
So Farage is very weak on Muslims. Okay, tell me more about that. Well, why do you think so? And what sort of revelation has been dropped to you that suggests you to say so?
Well, firstly, Nigel Farage, when he was asked about Islam in an interview with Stephen Erdington, said that he doesn't want to alienate Muslims or Islam, which is very concerning as well, because I don't believe that we should be pandering to ideologies that have got no place in Britain. So to have somebody of his political standing say, no, we can't do this, we've got to think of the Muslims, it doesn't really resonate with me as well. Also, if you have a look at, I know Zia Yusuf's no longer the chairman, but he's still playing an active role in reform. So like I said, Farage, he would probably, if he does come into power, he would probably get, you know, you might see the deportation of thousands of illegal immigrants, but I don't think that he'll do enough to stop what's coming. And I don't think people are as concerned as they should be about the demographic change that's taking place. It's not just Islamic, it's a third world replacement. And ultimately, the way that I see it is, white British people in the UK now are treated absolutely appallingly. The propaganda that's against us, the two-tier policing system, and we're still 84% of the population. What's it going to be like when we drop down to 50%, we drop down to 40%, when your home secretary is a Muslim, when, you know, your prime minister's a Hindu? I just don't believe that, and especially as well, if you look at the judges as well, the judiciary, it's absolutely shocking. And Britain, seriously, is in for some dark days. I don't like to go on too much about the fact that, you know, Britain hasn't fallen. It's just currently occupied at the minute, and something has to change. But for there to be genuine change in the country that is beneficial for the entire country, people are going to start having to confront a few uncomfortable truths that they may not want to talk about now. And that's why I said, you know, I campaign for. I believe that only natives should be involved in British politics. And that's because I don't want to see us replaced. I don't want to see the UK turn into South Africa or Zimbabwe. I don't want to see us become a despised minority where we're hated, and we're already seeing that today. You know, we've got signs in London at train stations that are in foreign languages. Our capital city is a city where the native population are a minority. I don't believe that, that we should have to tolerate that.
Yeah, I understand. But all these problems are caused by non-Muslims. I get it. The Muslims out there make noise. They call it for it. But then they get approved. But of course, maybe Sadiq Khan might approve some of the stuff. But most of the people around him are probably not Muslims, native Brits, just doing the job. You know, go and arrest each other. I seen a video this morning. When I woke up, I see a video that there was like 6 white police officers arresting a veteran because he had a placard that offended somebody apparently, and the
one at the Palestine protest.
I think so. Yeah, it was a veteran sitting in a chair on a wheelchair with his gear on, with all his medal on, and they picked him up. They literally picked him up. They left his wheelchair there. They picked him up and go put him in a van because he had a placard that offended somebody at the protest. I mean, and that's just native Brits. These are just young guys who are just working. I'm sure if they feel like, yo, this is wrong, they can easily just walk past and let him hold the placard. They can easily just say, thank you so much for your service, sir. Whatever you're holding, you know, you've offended a little kid. You've offended the lefty here. She said this and said this. Is that true? And the guy will probably be like, yeah, because he has a big balls, right? He's probably going to be like, yeah, I offended him. And then the police will be like, oh, all right, respect, bye. But no, they picked him up. I think the British we've lost the sign because I see it as of like mercy and justice. Like, we've lost that now, especially for whites towards whites. They've lost that. There's no mercy or justice anymore. It's either there's no mercy, of course, and there's no justice. So there's a big problem here where they would arrest a veteran who's probably in his 90s, waiting to say goodbye to the world. There's no mercy to that, and there's no appreciation for his work, and they'll put him in jail. That's the problem. Yeah. And obviously everybody blames it on small little problems that can easily be fixed, like Muslim problem or illegal migration problem. That problem can easily be fixed. I think that, in my opinion, that can easily be fixed. But the big one is the psyop in your own people. That is a big one. And
100%.
I think that is the most important one, because when you read all these, when you look at these movies, ancient movies, when castles used to have like a big line, fences and the cities inside, and as soon as there's a problem, a horse is coming through, they ring their alarm bell. They're like, hey, a horse is coming through, and everybody will march through with the slingshots ready to shoot. And the horse will come, and there'll probably be one guy. They'll be like, who are you? Say your name before they enter the castle, right? Before they enter the state. It's easier to identify a problem when it's coming from outside. But when it's inside, it's very hard. And that's what we have right now, where the problem is inside. These guys who are coming in the boats, somebody should be ringing an alarm and be like, hey, somebody's coming in without, illegally. And everybody should be like, hey, stop him, send him back. But the people in the inside are like, no, let it come in. Give him this place. Let him stay here. Let him stay here. And these are the native Brits as well. I mean, I'm sure you're not going to say Keir Starmer is a lefty. I'm sure you're not going to say Keir Starmer is Muslim and is black. Obviously not. That's not true. But Keir Starmer is doing this. So I think a lot of problems is with the native Brits. If they want to change, they can easily change this small little problem that a lot of people are making it seem so big. Like, Keir Starmer is the one who's labeling and giving these jobs, this ministry, second biggest job in the country to David Lammy. Keir Starmer is the one giving these jobs. Home Secretary, Keir Starmer is doing it. So, Yeah, so it's all about the mindset that needs shifting. If in your arguments, it's more about the mindset rather than these individuals who get a lot of blames for existing.
Yeah, you have to. You're right in what you're saying. I think you have to take issue with the symptoms as well as the cause. And like you're saying, you've got, in particular, when you've got people, there's a lot of people, I would say, it infects the right as well as the liberal side, but they have this white guilt. They feel guilt for what their ancestors have done throughout history, which is why they're so overly apologetic and nice to foreigners, because they've been brainwashed into believing that everything that the British Empire did throughout history is inherently evil, and we have to bear the sins of our ancestors. So, we just have to accept, Muslims as home secretaries. It's not just Muslims either. It's anybody that's foreign shouldn't be occupying a position of power in the UK. But you're absolutely right in what you're saying. It's, people like Keir Starmer, and before him, Boris Johnson and Theresa May and Tony Blair and Gordon Brown and, all of these politicians that have pushed forward policies that are detrimental to the native population. And what you're saying about getting your house in order, yeah, it would really be easily solvable. It really would. You'd only have to have the right people in government. If we actually had representation, then we'd be able to stop the boats. We'd be able to start the deportations. We'd be able to start looking into the two-tier justice system and the way that, local councils, everything would be under the microscope, and rightfully so. And I 100% agree with what you said. There has to be accountability for the people that have inflicted this as well. It's easy to just blame the migrants because, they shouldn't be in this country. They've not contributed anything.
Attention, attention, attention. This is not just a normal t-shirt. This is your battle armor in this war against lies and manipulation and deception. And when you wear this t-shirt, you are not just making a statement. You are drawing a line in the sand. And you're saying, I will not be silenced. I will not be bought. And I will not be steered. Every thread in this t-shirt screams defiance. Every letter of I found the truth, not propaganda. Or maybe every letter of the nation needs to know is a rally cry out for independent thinkers, disruptors, the people who refuse to bend to the mainstream media narrative. We need your fund, and this is your chance to stand up, to speak out and fund the fight for the truth. Don't just wear it like a regular t-shirt. You have to live it. The nation needs to know you're gonna live it. Yes, please. I need you to fuel the resistance. Be the reason why the truth survive in this country. Please get yours at thebarakashow.com, and thank you so much for keeping us on air. Thank you.
In the shadow of the digital gulag, we fire up the truth content and blast through the lies.
And the show host, Baraka Amuri.
But as well as being angry at that, you can't be angry at them on an individual basis, because if you was in their position and you were told, right, listen, you go to France, get yourself over to there, they're going to put you in a 4-star hotel, they're going to give you all this, you're going to do it, aren't you? If you're in a position where you haven't got anything, you're homeless in France. So there wouldn't be such a pull for illegal migration if the UK actually had a strict policy on it. Instead, right, we're not going to put you into 4-star hotels and give you the run of the country. You're going to go into a detainment camp while your case is processed. But that's not going to happen because there's too many people that are making life-changing amounts of money from these people. Graham King, a billionaire, the first ever asylum industry billionaire. He lives in Spain. He lives in Spain and he's on a beach in Spain. He sends his kids to private school. If there was a strong deterrent, so instead of putting them in 4-star hotels, if you built a camp, I don't know, maybe on one of the overseas British territories that we've got, or you do it in northern Scotland and you put them into a camp, they still get their 3 meals a day, but they've got no freedom to go out and socialize or commit crime among the general population, because one, you don't know who they are, you don't know anything about them. So until they should be held in camps. I personally don't believe that we should be giving asylum to people that have travelled through umpteen safe countries to get here. Again, they've come to the UK for one reason, and that's because the UK is a soft touch. The UK will give them benefits, will give them housing, and will give them opportunities that, you know, many working class or people that are on benefits would love to have, but they simply don't get them. You know, giving them £300,000 houses to live in down in Suffolk, whilst you've got, you know, over 300,000 homeless people, it's just insidious. And I personally believe that when you've got the problems that the UK has got, you should be getting your own house in order before you help anyone else. And
Yeah, of course.
also as well, I need to mention this as well, because this is important. If you look at foreign aid and how many billions the UK spends in foreign aid, it's completely misspent. It never reaches the people that it should reach. It goes into the back pockets of corrupt governments. So
Yeah, of course.
if you were able, I don't think people would have a problem if Britain was spending, I don't know, millions of pounds to ensure that, let's just say, country A, for example, is a better place, it's more prosperous, and they're able to build their economy so that people actually want to stay in their own countries. I'm all for, we should be encouraging the development of third world countries as well, not like spending taxpayers' money on it. But if we're spending billions of pounds on housing people that in most cases are criminals, then what's a couple of million here and there to help these third world countries create environments where their own people want to stay and they want to be a part of it? But again, it boils down to the fact that the UK is a soft touch, and, you know, you've got these, you know, morons at Care for Calais and other leftist organisations that are telling us, no, these people have got to come here, they haven't got anywhere else to go. And it's like, well, they have, because they've come from France. Like, France isn't at war. And none of the European countries are at war either, but we keep importing them, and it's just absolutely ludicrous. Like I said, we've got 300,000 homeless people in the United Kingdom. They're the ones that should be helped. We shouldn't be housing people that have illegally entered the country.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, because we're running out of time, I want to switch this to the to the next few topics. Just maybe 2, maybe 3. We'll see. Now, you are very vocal on opposing this guy. This guy is out there. He makes a lot of noise. He seems, you know, he's the hero to many, and of course, to other people, he's just a guy who's grifting. For other people, he's just a guy who's a criminal. For other people, he's just a guy who's doing anything to benefit himself. But to a lot of people, millions of people who are ready to march in London, he's a hero to them. And of course, I've seen a lot of posts. You don't seem very vocal like everybody else towards this person. I mean, is there sort of like reason? Did you guys ever fight before, or any sort of altercation? Like, you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah, we've got personal history that's not really to do with politics. So he doesn't like me and I don't like him. Pretty much is the way I look at it. Yeah, let me explain it a bit for you. I don't want to go too much into it, but I spoke at Tommy in 2018. I did a lot of campaigning for Tommy while he was in prison. I was even on his helped out on his MEP campaign tour of the Northwest in 2019. But a lot of people within Tommy's team weren't overly keen on me. A few people said that I was a threat to his income for some bizarre reason. And then I suppose it comes with the ideological split. There's a few things. The main issue I have with Tommy is the fact that both him and Paul Golding of Britain First back in 2019, 2020, both worked together to try and like boot me out of the movement, to shut me up. So I have people turning up at my house, people hiding in the bushes, taking photographs of me and then sending me the videos telling me that I needed to shut up speaking about both of them. The point of contention comes because Paul Golding goes out with my ex-girlfriend. So Ashley, I actually got her involved in the politics. And
wait, hold on. Ashley's your ex-girlfriend?
Yeah, I went out with Ashley. It wasn't a long relationship. She tried to use me to get. to get a foothold in politics
Wow.
and activism, basically. So Paul Golding obviously has a bit of a complex about the fact that he's wifed up my ex-girlfriend. So he made it his mission, along with others, to try and get me out of the movement. So like they would tell lies about me. They'd tell people that I'd worked for Hope Not Hate. I was a police informer, all of this nefarious bullshit because they wanted to silence me. So I had both Britain First and Tommy Robinson at the same time trying to get rid of me. And it didn't work because I'm still speaking out. I'm still doing what I want. But it got personal to the point where Tommy would share a meme saying, what was it? It was a picture of me holding a baby that was dressed in Ku Klux Klan attire, saying, "Look at my beautiful non-white baby girl." Now, my daughter's 3/4 English. She's a quarter Pakistani. My ex is half English, half Pakistani. She's not a hijab wearing Muslim by any stretch of the imagination. She'd only met her dad once or twice, so she's just the same as us, pretty much to an extent. She's 50% British, so she can serve as a politician. But yeah, the issue I had is they went out of their way to try and make my life hell. So they'd tell lies about me. They'd try and turn people off from me. And then I'd get threats of violence from their supporters as well. And it wasn't just me that they targeted as well. They'd also targeted my fiance at the time. So yeah, it was. This happened when everybody was off social media as well. So nobody was on X or Twitter, as it was known at the time. This was basically contained to Telegram. So I constantly have to explain to people all the time. It's like, oh, you're just being counterproductive, or you're just trying to start trouble. No, I'm just not willing to stand with people that want to slag off my innocent child and bring my child into political discussions and post. I'll send you the picture after the stream is done. I'll send you what they put up. And then it also stems from the fact that Tommy's team in particular sabotaged the Justice for Our Boys cause, which was about getting justice for 3 murdered children. They made up all sorts of claims about Tracy Blackwell, saying she's anti-Semitic, she's National Front. Oh, it wasn't a Muslim that did it, so we don't need to be bothered about it. It's the fact that 3 British children were murdered. The passenger was Muslim, the driver was Hindu. I'm not bothered about that. The fact is, 3 British children were murdered. There was no justice, and these people actively sabotaged it. So yeah, there's a lot of personal history, and also there's also the fact that I don't actually agree with a lot of the politics, especially his views on immigration, because he talks all the time about how we need more Indian immigration, we need more Filipino immigration. He doesn't have a problem with Muslims, it's just a problem with Islam. And for me, I just think he's too weak on these things. And there's also the blind worship of Israel as well, which I have a real problem with as well, because I don't believe that you need to be a British patriot. You don't need to wave the Israeli flag and support the Zionist terror state to be able to say that you're a patriot of Britain. And for me, they allow that side of the movement allows the foreign power in. So, you go into these demonstrations, but at the same time, you're supporting Israel in their war against the Palestinian people. And whether you're pro-Israel or anti-Israel, what's going on in Palestine is a genocide. And it's only the people that are going to suffer, as well as the Palestinians, are going to be Europeans, because their intention is to send 2 million Muslims to Europe as part of the Greater Israel Project. So if you're campaigning and waving the Israeli flag, then you're supporting your own replacement. And that, again, that's another issue I have with that side of it.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things to unpack there. Of course, that's your personal issue with Tommy. I can't really comment with that. Obviously, I'm gonna bring him on. Yeah. He's gonna come on the show. I'll play this clip to him, and he's gonna have a response to it. But we switched. We slowly drifted into Israel thing. I think that's something that we can talk about since it's not your personal opinion, since it's public information, and we can go back and forth with where we both stand. So. You mentioned that a lot of Tommy's supporters are waving the flag of Israel, and they're supporting this thing. and it's like a manual where it's like, if you want to be a patriot, you also have to either wave the Union Jack or St. George, and you also have to also wave this over flag of this foreign country, meaning Israel. Why do you think that is? Do you think it's because Christians and Jews are more of like, oh yeah, Judeo-Christian value type. We can't forget the greater Israel. It was a promised land. When you read Genesis and you see the journey from Egypt to Israel, and you see like, yeah, this is the land that was promised and stuff. So is that why people have to carry the flag and support Israel, or do you think it's just because there's some back end deals going on that we all don't know that these influencers are pushing?
Well, yeah. If for instance, if you take the English Defence League as an example, it wasn't just the English Defence League; it was the English and Jewish Defence League. But nobody was told about that. It was kept as just the EDL. But if you look on Companies House, it was registered as the English and Jewish Defence League. In regards to Israel, for me, you can't go, oh, Judeo-Christian values, we need to support what Israel are doing, because what Israel, let's go back and you look at the formation of the Israeli state, obviously with the Balfour Declaration. And then you had years and years of Israeli terror attacks to ensure the formation of the state of Israel. You had the Irgun that were actively targeting British troops. So for me, the Israeli state was founded on terror with the help of the British, but they killed British servicemen. They bombed British servicemen. And it's not just Britain that Israel have targeted either. If you look at the USS Liberty and
the USS Liberty.
The Irgun. The USS Liberty was 1967, I believe.
Yeah.
Let me just double check.
Is that when they bombed the American ship?
Yeah, that was the American ship that they bombed, and then apparently it was an accident. It wasn't an accident.
Yeah, and instantly got covered up by the White House.
Yeah, if you Candice Owens did a couple of really good videos on it. But
yeah,
incident, hold on.
I think I've heard one of those guys, the page, before the, because it's an old thing that happened. So a lot of the survivors got silenced, and some of them went on podcasts, and they're really old. A lot of them have died now, and they spoke about it. And I heard about it and I researched, and it's true that Israel bombed it, and instantly the White House covered it up, saying, "Hey, it was just a faulty thing, a mistake, and it was not Israel." But yeah, it was more of like a false flag and this stuff. And but why do we have to? Because I'm more like Britain first, right? This is the country I live in. This is the country I support. This is me. I'm here. I don't carry over flag. I mean, if you go back to my old videos, you'll see there's one flag in this house, and there's only a British flag. But it seemed like if you were to, of course, I criticize every country. I criticize India. I criticize Pakistan. I criticize almost every single country that does anything that does not favor us, the British people. But if somehow when you criticize the, Israel, you almost lose all your followers. I don't know how. Like, you almost get an army of people coming at you, and you're thinking, wait, what? So I can criticize Pakistan, I can criticize India, I can criticize all these countries, but when I get to Israel, somehow every patriot has a problem. Like, why? So do you know why? Is there something like I don't know? Is there like a deal that I meant to get?
I wouldn't say it's every patriot either. I'd say it's just the civnats that seem to have a problem with anybody speaking about Israel. But it does highlight the hypocrisy, because you can literally criticize any country in the world. But actually, I say that if you criticize Indians or Israelis in front of civnats, that's when they have the problem. They don't have an issue with you calling out Muslims or some other third worlders. But the moment that you mention Israel, it's, oh, no, you can't say that. You're a bad person. And that's because of the psychological programming that has gone into the general population since World War II with the with the eternal, some people won't like this, I'm going to say it anyway, but the eternal Holocaust victim card. You can't say anything bad against those because of what happened in World War II. And it's just completely ludicrous because you're giving them a free pass to do what they want. And this whole Judeo-Christian values, if you look at how Christians are treated in Israel, it's absolutely appalling. They spit at Christians in Israel. You know, you've got Israeli settlers destroying the last remaining Christian village in the West Bank. So for me, I don't understand how people, because the way I view Judaism is the same as I view Islam. They're both detrimental to Christianity. And the sooner people realize that, the better. Like, you know, people, like you said, Judeo-Christian values. The Muslims revere Jesus more than the Jews do, because if you read the Talmud, it says that Jesus is in hell, burning in a vat of feces, and his mother was a whore.
That's right.
Yeah, the Muslims don't say that. They take away his divinity, but they still regard him as a prophet. And this is the problem. When you present facts to people, if they're facts that people don't like, they'll take issue with it, and they'll then try to character assassinate you, or they'll try and turn the conversation emotive. Well, don't you care about people that have died? Well, yeah, I care about people that have died, but there was more than just Jews that died in World War II. The whole world suffered casualties. A whole generation of Europeans was sacrificed. What
22, I believe 22 Russians died. I mean, nobody has empathies for Russians. I mean, talk about
cares, no, because they're taught. Because a lot of people,
22 million. That is.
Yeah, that's 22 million.
I think 30% of their men died, like dead, because obviously the chemical, you know, what German did, and Russia could have easily just chosen to stay out of it, but they got sabotaged by Britain. You know. It goes a long way.
If we look at World War II, I mean, the fact that we were willing to go to war over Poland for when the war to end, for us just to give Poland away. Like, we went to war on the pretense of defending Poland.
Yeah, after they
gave the entire country away to the communists. So what was the point of actually going to war? It was all engineered. I mean, this is probably a chat for another day.
Yeah, we can talk about that another day for sure. But
the fact that you know more about the Holocaust than you do about the Holodomor speaks absolute volumes. I'm not talking about you as a person. I'm talking about the general population, because hardly anyone knows about the Holodomor, but everybody knows about the Holocaust.
Yeah. It's been a lovely conversation. I want to keep going, but I believe we're out of time, and obviously, you know, you got plans to go to, you know, to take care of your son today. But I would like to do this again, possibly after September 13th, if you're on it. Because
of course, mate. You just let me know when, and I'll join.
Because at that time, that's where we're gonna see how the country receives the rally. I mean, what's your thoughts? What are you thinking about September 13th? What do you think will be the outcome?
I think it'll be good for social media. It'll be good to see so many people, so many patriotic people in our capital city, as opposed to what you usually see. But in the grand scheme of things, without sounding negative, it's not going to really change anything in the long run. I just think it's a good opportunity for people to get together, to network, and to be able to push forward. But I don't see any massive changes just coming from the 13th itself. Like I said, I've been involved in this since 2017, and for me it's just a bigger version of the Free Tommy rallies that were put on in 2018, 2019 and 2020, although he has got a much broader speaker base this time, with obviously politicians coming from all over Europe. So yeah, like I said, I don't have any, you know, bad feelings towards anybody that's attending or a part of it. I hope that people have a good day. But at the same time, I just don't think that it's not going to be the catalyst for change. And people will say, oh, you're blackpilling or you're being negative. I'm not. I'm just saying, this is, for me, if I was in his position, I would have done it on a Monday morning, and I'd have instructed people to take the day off work. Because if you had, say, he says he's expecting up to 1 million people. If you had 1 million people that weren't at work, that'd have more of an impact. 1 million people that were outside Parliament when Whitehall's full of all of the politicians. You know, like, it's like, don't get me wrong, it's good to see so many people coming together. But if you want to be a thorn in the government side, you do it on a Monday or a Wednesday when they've got Prime Minister's questions, when Parliament is operating, so you can paralyse it. We had 34 people on Yellow Vest protests that were able to shut down Parliament and shut down the Cabinet Office and shut down the buildings along there with 34. If you have millions of people, you know, I'd like to see people just stay there and turn it into Occupy Westminster and nobody leave until the King dissolves Parliament and there's a new set of elections. But again, that would lead to, you know, people having to make sacrifices. And ultimately, though, that's what needs to happen. People have got to realise, you know, you're not going to win without suffering casualties. There are going to be sacrifices made. People are going to get hurt. Like, I'm not inciting or calling for anything, but you know, if we look at Peter Lynch as an example, you know, he went out to protest at a hotel and he ended up killing himself in prison. Like, for me, that shouldn't have happened. Like, it shouldn't. And we've still got, you know, hundreds, if not thousands of patriots that are in prison and that are on draconian conditions. So, yeah, I just think that the time for holding protests on a Saturday when there's nobody's there is over. There has to be like direct civil disobedience that is going to cause the politicians problem and ensure that they have an uncomfortable day at work.
Yeah, totally. But I'll pass on this. I mean, September 13th, I think it's going to be a great day. I think it's going to be a powerful message to the establishment, to the guys. But then I can understand your Monday type of take of view, because that's the, you know, Saturday everybody's like, you know, no, you know, I don't think K-Starmer is even watching anything. But it's just not going to be, but in terms of social media, yes, it'll be big. In terms of like something to talk about, yeah, that'll be something to talk about. And I'm curious to see what the message will be from each guest that's going to be speaking. So it's going to be huge. And I believe it's going to be powerful. So, but thank you so much, James, for coming on. It's been a blast. It'll be cool to have you on after September 13th, because then the smoke will probably like start coming down. Then we'll talk about how it went and what could have been done, or what was great, and all this sort of thing. But yeah, without further ado. So where do the people can find you? Where can they find you if somebody wants to tune in to your podcast? If somebody wants to see your Twitter, I mean, where can they go?
Yeah, just X. I don't have Facebook. Mark Zuckerberg himself banned me in 2018. I got a lifetime ban, as well as YouTube, PayPal, everything. So I just operate on X. So my username is @JamesPGoddard90. I usually host the stream, which I try and do every day, but due to work commitments and my son, I'm struggling to do every day at the minute. So it's usually Mondays and Mondays at 6 p.m. UK time and Thursdays at 7 p.m. UK time is where you'll find me on X.
Right, perfect. So I believe this is a Twitter account here on the screen right now. So if you guys can grab that, this is how it looks like. That's the Twitter screen right now, I believe, right?
Yeah, that's the one, mate.
That's the one. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. That's James Goddard. Thank you so much for coming on the show, sir, and it'll be cool to have you on again. Guys, if you like this sort of thing, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, check him out on his social media, and let me know what you think. Comment down below. What would you want me to ask him the next time we have him on? I mean, what sort of things do you think I missed out? I mean, that's gonna be I'm interested to see and hear what you guys think. But thank you so much. Without further ado, hand to the head, salute. Bye bye.
They tried to erase the signal. They pulled the plug, demonetized, censored, shadow banned. That's what they did to us. But the truth, my friend, will always find the frequency. I call this Operation Airwave Liberation, because I'm not just back, I'm broadcasting from ruined. But this time, the airwaves is mine. And this time, it's uncensored. I watched them strip everything that we built. No warning, no explanation, silence, just taking everything away. 300 plus videos, deleted, all gone. And if you think this is about community guidelines, you've not been paying attention. This is a war. This is a digital gulag dressed in a terms of service type of way. They want us gone because we're saying things that they don't like. Maybe we're asking questions because we're curious. They don't like the questions we're asking. Or maybe we refuse to play nice in this echo chamber that we're in. They first hit me with the algorithm. The video is not getting enough views. Then they hit me with the monetization. Well, no money for you. But guess what? They forgot to hit my will. They thought that'll be enough. It's gonna cave and it's gonna run away. But guess what I did? I rebuilt, I rewired, I learned the game behind the curtains and see how they operate. I'm not just back. We're launching Operation Airwave Liberation. No filters, no masters, just signals. The signal they tried to block, but this time is very strong. The wind can't even penetrate through this. This, my friend, isn't just about me. It's about all of us. Every single voice that's been cancelled, clipped and used in the wrong way by the media. From now on moving forward, I'm not just creating content anymore. I'm sorry. I'm building a resistance. On camera, off grid, and above the algorithm. And if you are watching this, you are the resistance. This channel isn't just a platform. This is a broadcast tower for the truth. I'm glad I'm back. Attention, attention, attention. This is not just a normal t-shirt. This is your battle armor in this war against lies and manipulation and deception. And when you wear this t-shirt, you are not just making a statement. You are drawing a line in the sand. And you're saying, I will not be silenced, I will not be bought, and I will not be steered. Every thread in this t-shirt screams defiance. Every letter of I found the truth, not propaganda. Or maybe every letter of the nation needs to know is a rally cry out for independent thinkers, disruptors, the people who refuse to bend to the mainstream media narrative. We need your fund, and this is your chance to stand up, to speak out and fund the fight for the truth. Don't just wear it like a regular t-shirt. You have to live it. The nation needs to know you're gonna live it. Yes, please. I need you to fuel the resistance. Be the reason why the truth survives in this country. Please get yours at thebarakashow.com. And thank you so much for keeping us on air. Thank you.
In the shadow of the digital gulag, we fire up the truth cannon and blast through the lies.
And the show host, Baraka Amuri.